Okay, let's talk a little about obfuscation. Obfuscation is a little known and highly successful tactic being employed by Satanists in positions of power around the world. Now, you won't find any videos about this, nor will you find any internet articles. Likely this is due to the fact that the only people who are aware of it are those involved in its covert application. It doesn't matter how I know about it, but at least I can show you that I do. So what is obfuscation? Obfuscation is the deployment of multiple communication points around a target individual for the purpose of derailment. What do I mean? I mean the establishment of information sources around a person which will provide varying perspectives about a particular point or points of discussion. The information will often conflict with itself and or circle around a core truth which is being deliberately obscured. Here's an example. Suppose you wanted to topple the regimes of a certain region of countries and install puppet leaders in the stead of their deposed leaders for the unification of those nations into a unit component of a one world government of some sort. How would you go about doing that inconspicuously? Well, you could destroy two of your most prominent buildings and then blame the desecration on one of the countries you wish to subvert. While you employ media outlets to carry out the blame and the accusations, you allow to circulate the idea that the soon-to-be invaded country has weapons of mass destruction or some shit. Simultaneously, you could produce via lesser-known media outlets the news that said country has oil, and that it's for said oil that you really want to invade the country. Now, while those stories are circulating, you make the claim that said country is funding terrorists. You know, with all that information circulating, it doesn't matter which stories the general public chooses to believe, as long as their attention is kept at bay from the core fact that you intend to conquer those nations simply for the benefit of bringing them under your control. The very idea of those nations being taken over for your new world order will have been successfully obscured by all those stories. So that's one example of an obfuscated objective, but it's not one which cannot be easily deduced by common sense. So let me give you a slightly less obvious example. Let's say you wanted the world to believe that there was a certain very deadly virus lurking around, a virus which didn't exist. What could you do to ensure that everybody believes it? One, use the media. That is the most powerful tool, of course. You need only pump into everybody's minds repetitively the idea through your media prostitutes that there is a very dangerous virus around, that you need to protect yourself from it, that you need to do this, do that, do this, do that, because the virus can do this, can do that, it's linked to this and it's linked to that. All nonsense. But you can also make use of controlled opposition. You could have somebody pop up out of nowhere and claim to have a cure for this virus, for which there is no cure, but have him suddenly disappear. What would this do? It would look to the general public that there is a cure for this virus, but that for some reason someone doesn't want this cure to be found, so they are killing people who speak out about it, right? That's one conspiracy theory which would inevitably result from the sudden disappearance of somebody who claims to have found a cure for a virus which has been advertised as being incurable. A virus which doesn't exist, by the way. So it doesn't matter whether or not people choose to believe that this virus has a cure, as long as the idea of this non-existent virus remains in their mind. But here's a telltale sign that certain things are being obfuscated for the public. If people who oppose certain views are being promoted on television, then you know that someone wants them to be saying what they're saying. Having said this, I'll show you how this relates to a certain Charlie Sheen.